Welcome back, guys, to your second C++ tutorial. And in this tutorial we are finally going to begin writing some code, and what we're going to be doing is actually building a basic program. And all this program is going to do is just output basic text to the screen, but it's very essential in understanding the basics of how a C++ program is put together and all the pieces you need to have in place in order to run even the most basic programs. So there is my introduction. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's begin, shall we? So the first thing that we need to do is this: hit the number sign and press INCLUDE and move my cursor out of the way. IOSTREAM, and make sure it's in between your less than and greater than sign. Now what we're doing with this line of code is, again, we're going to be talking about include files and header files later on, but for those of you guys who just need to know, what we're doing is adding a preprocessor directive. In essence, what that means is we're going to include important files that are already built into C++, and these files are going to help us later on. But for now, this line isn't really important, pretty much including files that we're going to need later on. So with that being said, let's go ahead and build our first function. And before I even build my first function, let me explain to you guys what a function is. Every single C++ program is made up of functions. If you don't have a function, then you don't have a C++ program. And check this out. The main function that your computer is going to look for is called main. How convenient. Not the state, the word, M-A-I-N. And for those of you guys who think that M-A-I-N is how you spell the state, then yeah, spell it like the state. But anyways, let's go ahead and build our very first function. Go ahead and write int main and hit 2 empty parentheses. Now this is pretty much called, why did I say pretty much? It's not pretty much. This is called the function header, but I often call it the title because, you know, it's kind of like the title. Here's your function name right there, main, and here is the data type it returns. But we'll be covering data types later on. This pretty much is short for integer. So anyways, we have a title of the function, which technically it's called the header. So now that it has a head, we need to give it a body, and in order to do that, go ahead and add 2 little curly brackets and some space in between. So here is the basics of how any computer program works. As soon as you start your program, it's going to look for a function called main. So that's what we're building right here. So that's why you need to name this main, because again, like I said, it's the very first function your computer is going to look for whenever it starts running the program. And inside your function, you're going to tell your computer exactly what to do. Inside of your function, you're going to have something called statements, and what a statement is it's pretty much an instruction. So your program is probably going to be made up of, well, in this program it's probably going to be made up of, 6 different statements or 6 different instructions, and these are basic instructions of what we want our computer program to do. Simple enough. So with that being said, let's go ahead and add one of these statements right now. Again, just like this include right here, there's something else that you absolutely need your computer program to have. Let's go ahead and add using namespace, I'll get it right, STD. And this means using namespace sexual transmitted disease. Alright, next line. I'm just kidding. Alright. This actually means using namespace standard. And what this means, again, we'll be covering namespaces and all this stuff later on, but for those of you guys who just need to know what this means, we're going to be using all of the basic standard functions in our program. Simple enough. Alright, so now we can finally begin getting to the meat of this tutorial, and that's how to print basic text out on the screen. And this is how you do it. COUT, hit space and hit the less sign 2 times, and then go ahead and inside quotation marks type whatever you want to print out. So I will write my name is Bucky, and you need to end every statement with a semicolon, since whenever you give your computer a bunch of different statements or instructions, it needs to know when the first one ends and when the second one begins, so they aren't all jumbled together. So what we do is we separate them by semicolons, and we typically put them on separate lines. This just makes it easier for the programmer, you and me, to read. So anyways, what we said now is my name is Bucky, and we want to output this to the screen. Cout is the function that allows you to display stuff on the screen. So, that's all I need to say. So let's go ahead and teach you guys about one other thing, and this is how to make a new line, and that's cout, of course, print out to the screen, and don't put this in quotation marks, put ENDL. This means end line, and this is the exact equivalent of hitting enter or return on your keyboard. It moves your text down a line. So now that we're on the next line of our program, let's just go ahead and output something else so we actually see this baby in action. And let's just go ahead and write I have an overactive bladder. And make sure you spell it wrong or else your program is not going to work. Just kidding. But anyways, and you were saying, Bucky, why are you telling me about your bladder? Well, guys, if you're going to be watching your tutorials with me, then, we're going to have to get to know each other. So the first thing I want you guys to know about me is I have an overactive bladder. So there you go. And let's just go ahead and add one other end line. So cout end line. So now we have a program that prints out a line of text that says my name is Bucky, and on the next line, when we move down, it says I have an overactive bladder, and then just hit the enter key again. That's what it's going to look like. So now we're not exactly ready to run this program yet. What we need to do is system, and in parentheses go ahead and type pause. What this is going to do is actually pause your program, because if you don't have this line, your program is going to run super fast and exit before you even get to see anything at all. And I'll run this without this line to show you guys what exactly is going on. And the very last statement or instruction we need to give our function main is return 0. And you're saying, alright, what's this? Return 0 is just your way of telling the main function that everything went according to plan. Check this out. Let me give you guys a little preview into the future. This int means whenever we use this function, it's expecting an integer in return. And built into your computer knows already whenever it returns 0, it means everything went according to plan. So that's why at the end of all of our main functions we return 0, and that's just our way of telling the computer everything went according to plan. We're cool, man. Alright, so now, like I said, that is our program. In order to run this, here's what you need to do. Execute, compile, and run. Compile means change this code into code that we can understand to ones and zeros that the computer can understand, and run this program. So check that out. My name is Bucky, I have an overactive bladder, and you can either X out of that or just hit any button and it'll X out. Now check this out. Let's go ahead and get rid of this system pause and see what happens. Execute, compile, and run. I don't know if you guys saw that, but what it did is pretty much just flashed on the screen real quick and exited. So that is why we need that system pause right there. So I mean, we're not as fast as a computer, we can't read that quick. We need to pause everything so we can actually see our work and look at it, take a breath of fresh air, and be proud of something. So that's why we need system pause, like I said. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys for this tutorial. This is the very basics, bare bones of how we create a program in C++. Now we can begin going into the the detailed stuff a little more, more about I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. What I want to say though is, if you want any of this code, then go ahead and click in the link below, and I'll save it for you guys all on my forum. So just go ahead and copy it and throw it in your program if you guys are lazy. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out the next video, and I'll see you guys later.